Hey guys, it's Roaring Sun. Today I'm making a video, which is to some degree an extension of the video I made about my thoughts of static and party finder rating in an ultimate context. Since I've made that video, I've went off and cleared the other two ultimates I didn't clear, ignoring top, of course, Uru and Ucob. Okay, but the circumstances in which I cleared those fights are very juxtaposed. Okay, for UCOB, that was to a very significant extent progged solely on Party Finder. Okay, so I casually progged UCOB for like 2 months on Party Finder, and on the other hand, I progged Uru in a static. So I did both. After my video, I did both environments. Okay. Both prog experiences have, as did DSR, provide more insight into both static and party finder rating in an ultimate context. So I want to start with UCOB. I casually started progging it, a few months ago. I was very loosely joining PFs made by people I know in the server. And this was very sporadic, okay? Sometimes, the PFs were, admittingly, to some degree, a waste of time. By that is, you'll get some good consistent prog in. Like this is PF, right? There's nothing new about what I'm saying here. I'm mentioning this because I joined a UCOB group that was behind my prog point, and I proceeded to fight. I proceeded to clear the fight well ahead of my group's prog point. Okay, I want you to keep this in mind as I talk about Uru. As for Uru, I bumped into a player in the Materia Discord that was also looking to clear Uru, and so we both jointly made a static. Okay, I'm happy to say that compared to my last ultimate static, Uru static for the most part cleared the fight in pretty good circumstances, and also in a pretty decent period of time as well. There is one qualification to this, however. When we were 7 out of 8 recruiting for a Fizz ranged, we had a player that applied to join our group, even though their Uru prog point was like suppression prog into aim to clear. Okay, they didn't tell us this. Okay, when they joined our group, they didn't tell us this. They didn't tell us that they literally were about to clear the fight on Party Finder when they joined our group. Okay, after our first lockout, like I'm talking like after 1 hour after our lockout, they clear on Party Finder. Okay. They then, on the next day, on our second lockout, they leave the group. Okay. They caused like 5. They were playing Machinist. They caused like 5 wipes to Ricochet memes in Spiny Bloom. Right, like you know how Ricochet fucking is like an AoE, and like the Ricochet was hitting the Spiny Plume off the off tank, so the off tank couldn't get it, right? And so, like, they were told to stop doing that because prog, right? And they antagonistically shrugged off that request and left the group after that, okay? Now, look, if you look objectively, there's nothing special as to why they left the group. A reasonable person could easily conclude that they left because they had cleared the fight and lost any economic incentive to stay in our group, okay? So, first insight. It immediately follows that, as an extension of my DSR video, if you are going to join a static, in the absence of exceptional circumstances, unless you are explicitly given permission through clear communication, it is extremely unethical to leave a group after you clear on Party Finder, particularly when you have stayed in the span of a single lockout. Every person is autonomous and entitled to do what they want, but actions can have adverse effects on other players. Being open to doing more ultimates in a static context, as I said in my previous video, it is extremely frustrating that this player did what they did. We were effectively Titan prog Ifrit cleanup after our first lockout, and we made a decision to prog the rest of the fight, finding a D3 sub. Whether this decision was an intelligent idea is not the point. The point is, if you join a static, you must be able to appreciate that there are 7 other people who is devoting their time to you just as much as to themselves. Statics are supposed to have an element of teamwork, and behaving in that manner is integral. Okay? So, UCOB. I cleared UCOB on Party Finder, but I'm still in a UCOB group, and I'm remaining in that group. Now, this introduces 2 different issues. The first issue is, what is my incentive in staying in this group? The second issue is, does me clearing in Party Finder in any way detract a static clear of an ultimate? That second question is very controversial, so I'm going to defer that and answer the first question first. Now, there is very little economic incentive for me to stay in this Uru group. I've cleared the fight. I'm going to have to spend a lot of my own time to help these guys get their clear. There's no guarantee they'll even clear, right? The only real economic incentive I have is on the prospect that they do clear. We can do totem farms and stuff like that, right? And that's, that's a maybe depending on feels and all that, right? I'm staying in that group, however, because of what I mentioned earlier, right? Actions can have adverse consequences on other players. It would be morally unconscientious for me to leave that group, okay? If statics are supposed to be about team building and investment in other players, you cannot leave. Okay, this is a really important insight that players like you and me should be conscious about in our dealings with others. Now, remember in my previous video, I said I left my DSR group, right? But there were exceptional circumstances to that. My group was going to disband by 6.4. One player had already left. It was very clear, very obvious that we would not, we wouldn't clear by 6.4. Like the trend, like the probability was virtually 0, right? Like you need like some type of fucking God-sent saving grace. Okay, so that's what I mean when I say in the absence of an exceptional circumstance. Okay, it's things like players leaving before you, like that type of element, or like this time bomb element as well can induce that. Okay? But it's all a question of fact, okay? As for the second question, before I even attempt to answer it, I need to explain why that question is provoked in the first place. Why I'm even contemplating this as a question. So, viewed objectively, my Uru static cleared, but I did not clear with them. Okay? As a matter of fact, my static radar arranged a clear for one with people I knew. And those people offered to drag me in. Okay? I was personally indifferent about this, because even if we did clear, which we did, but even if we did clear, I was going to stay with the static to help them get their clear. Okay? That was dead set certain, okay? I say they're clear, but personally I feel when the group cleared, that was as much as the real clear for myself too, okay? So, they're clear, I put that in quotation marks, I felt it was still our clear, okay? In any event, that's not to the point. In any event, a member in the group was disappointed that I went and cleared ahead, okay? And this is why this question's been provoked. If you're curious, I've talked to that particular player, in fact, and I'm relieved that after talking to them that we're in very good terms, okay? So, thank God. But anyways, as I've said, being part of a static is, I've already said that as part of being in a static is working as a team, okay? And it seems that when players go on Party Finder to clear a fight ahead of the group they are in, there is a risk that players in that group will react to that clear in a negative light. Now, obviously, this impact can vary. You could have players that simply don't give a shit that you've went on Party Finder and cleared. You could, however, have players, that may be visibly bothered or even bitter about it, okay? Now, in my DSR group, we had a player that jumped ahead and cleared on Party Finder. Okay, and without a doubt in my mind, that conduct induced toxicity from other players in my group. I am dead set certain that when that particular player went on Party Finder and cleared the fight, that induced people to start saying, oh man, prog's so slow, you know, what's going on, you know, we're barely progging this mech, you know, we're taking so long to clean this mechanic up, you know, like these are just things that I'm echoing from my previous video, and I believe these type of comments were induced from that particular player clearing on Party Finder. I'm not blaming that particular player for clearing on Party Finder. Okay, I want to make that very clear. I'm not attributing any blame to that particular player. Rather, after my Uru group, I have come to the determination that whether it is conscionable for a player to jump ahead of a group and clear on Party Finder is a question of fact. Okay? And after deep consideration of this and my conduct in my Uru group, it seems to me that it is integral that when making a static, there is clear communication about expectations in relation to clearing in Party Finder. This static Party Finder interplay is very dominant. I know many players in this server that have cleared ahead of their group on Party Finder, and in that regards, I am simply no different. Okay? As a matter of fact, I have helped people clear ultimates in Party Finder ahead of their own groups. I'm pretty sure I was literally in a DSR clear a few days ago where I got like 2 people their clears ahead of their DSR group. They just cleared like a few days ago as well. Right? It's funny how the world works, right? Given how much time can be invested in any one particular ultimate fight, there is almost an emotional investment that is forged in a group. And so this is what I've learned since my preceding video. Depending on what type of static you are joining, it is vital that there's clear communication about whether PFing prog or a clear is admissible. Further, there is a significant distinction that must be drawn when a group acquiesces to a member going on Party Finder to clear. Just because a group can accept a player going on Party Finder to clear does not mean they won't be disheartened, does not mean they won't be bothered by that fact. And that is why only clear communication can reveal the true answer. I think this is a very important aspect in static rating, particularly in an ultimate context where time investments in these fights can forge an obsidian bond amongst players. Like in DSR, I easily spent maybe 150, 200 hours in my DSR group, right? Epic Alexander was about, oh fuck, how many hours was this? That's an intrigue. It's nearly, it's around the hundreds, like 80s, 90 out, 70, 80, 90 hours. Uru was like 30-ish hours or something. I don't know. You get the point, right? These are time intensive. You can spend a lot of time in your group, right? So, I haven't mentioned this so far in my video, but the only ultimate I'm included is top, okay? I'll probably prog top in a static, and it follows that I will endeavour to have clear discussions with whoever I do top with about PFing top, okay? I think that's really important. This is why I'm making this video, this primary point. Right, statics about team building, and part of team building is having clear communication, because, you know, I personally actually started feeling kind of sad when the particular player in my Uru group said that he was a bit disappointed I went on Party Finder and cleared ahead. Kind of got my eyes open a little bit, okay? That maybe there's a bigger picture, right? Maybe, you know, like, you know, there's more to this than just a clear, you know? So, anyways, I hope you have found my thoughts. I hope these new thoughts of mine have provoked you and made you think more about static and Party Finder rating in ultimate context. I shall now go through the process of doing P8S. Until next time.